This Jerusalem Post podcast is supported by third-party advertising. Welcome to the J-Post headlines. These are the top stories today for Sunday, April 19th, 2026. 2 Israeli soldiers have been killed in combat in southern Lebanon. Iran threatens retaliation against ships ignoring IRGC warnings in the Strait of Hormuz. Kamala Harris blames Netanyahu for pulling Trump into the Iran conflict. Another synagogue has been hit by arson in North London, targeting the Jewish community. And Argentinian President Javier Milei arrives in Israel for high-level talks with Netanyahu. Recorded from the J-Post studios in Jerusalem, I'm your host, Shifra Jacobs. We begin with the tragic news from southern Lebanon. Command Sergeant Major in Reserves Barak Kalfon, age 48, and Sergeant First Class in Reserves Lidor Porat, age 31, have both been killed during separate combat incidents in the region. Kalfon, a member of the 226th Brigade, died on Friday, while Porat, of the 769th Regional Brigade, was killed in a different operation. In both incidents, other soldiers were injured, 2 moderately and 1 lightly in Kalfon's case, and another soldier severely wounded in Porat's. The soldiers have all been evacuated for treatment, and their families have been notified. Barak Kalfon's funeral is set to take place today at 2 p.m. at the Adi Cemetery. Turning to Iran, tensions in the Gulf continue to rise as Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a stark warning to vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC has stated that any ship that ignores their commands in the critical waterway will face retaliation. On the political front, former US Vice President Kamala Harris has made waves by accusing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of drawing President Donald Trump into the conflict with Iran. During a speech in Michigan, Harris claimed Netanyahu manipulated Trump, who she called the most corrupt US president in history, into launching military action. She further suggested that the Trump administration's involvement was a distraction from other key issues, such as the Epstein case. In London, another synagogue has been targeted in a recent spate of arson attacks. The Kenton United Synagogue in North London suffered minor smoke damage in the latest incident. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. This is just one in a growing number of attacks on the Jewish community in London, with the Board of Deputies of British Jews condemning the continued rise in anti-Jewish violence in the capital. And finally, Argentinian President Javier Milei has arrived in Israel, beginning his visit at the Western Wall. He's scheduled to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for talks focused on strengthening diplomatic, economic, and technological cooperation between the two countries. The visit also includes the announcement of new El Al flights, enhancing ties between Argentina and Israel. For more news analysis and the latest updates, head to jpost.com.